who ask, and they look at me and say, just kidding.
Good morning. I'd like to call the work session of the Board of Selectmen for Friday, May 19th to order. Would everyone please rise and join me in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As for the trustees, come on down.
Good morning.
I assume everybody knows everybody by now.
Yes, we do.
You have the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Well, the reason I wanted to meet with you, gentlemen, is the fact that obviously we have a proposal on the table to deal with our library issues. I hope you all had an opportunity to go over this proposal from SMP that dropped off last week. The question is now, is it worth us to pursue this? And if it's worth it to pursue us, how are we going to fund it? Okay, I spoke to Anthony from SMP last week, and he said, if indeed we could stage this. For example, if we did not want to commit to the total $16,000 figure, $16,000 plus figure, he quoted, we do it in stages. And by that I mean, I don't know if you gentlemen had an opportunity to bring this with you again.
I didn't, but I did look it over, yeah.
Okay.
If you want a copy, you can have mine. So when you say stages,
Well, for example, if you were to look at the proposal and the scope of services, number one is the tour measure, generate base drawings of the current library, meeting with staff and trustees. Number two is review and confirm your program of spaces based on your functioning community-wide requirements. And then you get into the number three, which is the nitty-gritty, which is to develop conceptual plans.
so how much of, let's say number 2 has already been done?
That's done.
Okay, so that's over.
That is done.
Sorry.
Number three is to essentially draw up one or two sets of plans based on Skip's suggestions, one of which would be to look at what he has already produced. Okay, and then to decide whether that has any merit, or perhaps there's something else we could do along the same lines would have merit. And then we could sit down and decide if this is something that we want to pursue. Wanting to pursue to take it to the level that we would be ready to go to town meeting with it. But once again, it comes down to who's going to pay for it.
Well, I think before that, the question that I need to answer is this the project you want? I mean, is the library, are the library trustees on board with this project? Because I'm a little reluctant to vote to spend money on something that you might not want.
What we want, I think, and I'm speaking collectively of what's going to be best for the town. Okay, if this plan were to come to fruition and it was going to solve the needs for the community for the next 50 years, which is what we thought the other building on the Dearborn property would take care of, and it could be done at a significant savings to the town, and look like something the town would be proud of, that, you know, it's not just something that we're putting up just for the sake of putting up. That is the one thing we don't want to do. I don't think we want to do it on our side of the table. I don't think you want to do it on your side of the table. To do something to say we've done it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
However, the other thing that we are acutely aware of, that if we were to pursue the Dearborn property, what's going to happen, we come to town meeting next year and we have 2 warrant articles to deal with. 2 warrant articles, both fail.
The 2 being,
If we were to pursue the Dearborn property,
yeah.
which is, which was what the CIP had recommended for the 2018 town meeting, and if a petition warrant article were to come forward with this,
Oh, I see what
then we're battling ourselves.
Right.
Nobody wins under that scenario. So I think the only way we're gonna be able to put that to bed is to pursue this at least to a level we can say,
Here's this alternative, here's that
here's
alternative.
the alternative, this is,
Is it gonna settle that issue, do you think? I mean, let's say we went through this and spent the $16,000.
Mhm.
Do you feel as though when we go to town meeting next March, that issue will be put to bed?
if it was a good-looking building, if it solved the needs, if
Or
it was
if
a
it
significant savings.
failed?
If this failed,
Yeah,
I don't know where we would go from there, to be honest with you. Right, but we're at the situation now where, there's economics and there's politics involved, okay?
because I look at the numbers, and when you look at the police station project and combine that into this, really the spread isn't that great between what Skip's proposing versus, and a standalone police station versus rehabbing the library and doing a standalone library. I mean, it starts to get pushed together a little bit.
As I said, the operative word here is significant savings.
Yeah.
And it would have to be significant, because this, as it was pointed out to us at our trustees meeting last week, by doing this, we're taking that $400,000 potential value of the present library for future use of the town off the table.
Right.
So that's, and I don't have any idea what a standalone police station is going to cost. All right, is it going to be as big a building as what we would have? Would be Pardon?
The floor plan could be the same.
Would be the same, it would be about the same square
Could be.
footage?
Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, I just looked at the police study that was done a year or so ago, and looked at those numbers, comparing it to what Skip had told us at the presentation. It just didn't seem like, we're talking a few $100,000 spread, not $1 million spread. So it seemed to take the air out of the balloon a little bit as far as this is going to really save us a lot of money. If we look at all of the needs that we're faced with.
Well, as I say, this would have to be a significant savings. Significant, we're talking 7 figures as far as I'm concerned. We'd have to save almost $1 million.
Yeah. And
On
is
the additional
SMP
increase.
pretty confident that, I know they're professionals, but are they going to give us a pretty firm figure on doing this project?
They're going to do is give us a set of plans, and then it has to go out to the,
Okay.
and then it goes to the construction manager. But, they're paid employees. They're going to say, we'll design you the Taj Mahal if you want the Taj Mahal, but if you say this is what we want a very nice attractive box to use as a police station or as a library or as a town hall, that's what they're going to do. But,
And, I don't want to monopolize the conversation here, but was there discussion at your board meeting? You mentioned the aesthetic, which is important to me
Mhm.
personally. I didn't see the aesthetic that drove a positive town meeting from that cardboard box. So was there any discussion about the design, or was it just?
the discussion, there was discussion, and once again, I don't want to monopolize the conversation either, but
Well, the way I feel about the whole project at this point in time is I was very discouraged. When Skip first presented it, I thought it was a very interesting concept. And then as we delve into it, we're looking at engineering studies that have to be done to see if these trusses, these cantilever trusses will be held up by the existing foundation. All of these studies have to be done before we can even begin to know how much money we're actually gonna save. And Skip is planning, well, we leave the bathrooms the way they are, right where they are. Well, you have a new building and you've got these bathrooms that are vintage 1970. So it's just not, to me, and I really was disturbed by the letter that he wrote to the editor because, I was not, I don't feel like I should be characterized as not being overjoyed by this project. if we had no place else to go, I would be really overjoyed by this project. But we have spent time upon time, and these people have spent all their time developing a beautiful plan for a beautiful library that's gonna take us 50 or 60 years down the road. And here we go. Well, now we're 5 months, 6 months away from having to create a warrant article, and what's going to happen? And Gordon's right. If they present a petition warrant article, we're going to fail on all counts, and we're going to be back to square one. As a matter of fact, part of the reason that I just zipped in at the last second was my mind is going in 6 different directions thinking about this, and I missed 109A and went off to 25, I mean. I don't know what to do. I am really very torn.
Some of the
This
questions,
project is not my favorite thing, believe me. I do not, and I looked at it again, and I really believed that they had removed the leach field from under the parking lot, because I think that's such a poor design. And I think they agreed with it, and I really thought that we had analyzed that and got it out of there, but it didn't happen. You know, it's
One of
a
the-
beautiful building, and it has a lot of opportunities in this building. But we're not gonna have that in this building, and we're gonna be so close to the street, I believe, that is a real detriment to what we have, you know, to that plan. That to me is,
I guess my expectation
detriment.
at this meeting is not to get into the detail, but to figure out the motivation and see if there's, I mean, you're saying that it's not a perfect design. It isn't as it currently stands, but I think the reason that the library has failed 3 times is because you don't have consensus in your board or in the people that were in the design committee. I mean, there wasn't, you know, people weren't hitting the streets with, this is what we're gonna do and this is a perfect
well, we thought we
situation.
had.
well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Then again, when you go to a town meeting and 300 people show up,
Yeah,
it doesn't take a whole lot to,
No.
Right.
it just seems
turn
as
the
though,
corner.
I'm not, you know, I'll end it there,
That's
but
fine.
we really need to have a solid front if we're gonna go forward with anything.
What's that?
well, Chip, don't get me wrong, I am behind this plan 150%, behind this plan at this point, all right? We've spent so much time, and no one is ever gonna agree with everything that happens in a particular plan, all right? I was happy with the plan that was behind the library at first. I've been on the board longer than anyone else. I've been on here for over 9 years. And I was happy with that plan behind the library. Then we started looking at it and I said, geez, you know, that's right. It's way up. It's not, it doesn't show. This shows. I wasn't happy that we went across the street, but I thought, you know, well, what's the difference? In 2 years, no one's gonna remember that the library was on this side with the school, and we're gonna have a nice little crosswalk for the kids to cross, and there won't be any issues with it. So we're gonna all have to compromise. I would compromise and say that this is a beautiful building, interior, and a great design, and it's gonna look nice on that lot. I'm concerned about this plan, but I'm concerned that we have such a division in the town that it's gonna make a very difficult sell, no matter what we do. I mean, I think it's money is the reason we're not going forward.
Library projects in this state and other places that I've lived are very, very difficult to
Right,
fund with taxpayer money.
right.
The projects that are successful in this state do it with a large amount of support of private money. In some cases, 100% private money.
Well, the current library is primarily private money.
50%, yes.
Yeah.
Twice.
And so, and we've talked about this before, is the private money element the piece that isn't there, regardless of what we do, to get it passed? The two-thirds threshold is tough, very tough. Skip's premise in bringing his project is that it could be done without having to borrow money, without having to go to the two-thirds, that it could be done with a simple majority. Based on what I know at this point, I don't think there's enough money there today to do it without borrowing money.
There isn't.
Um,
Our fundraising effort, okay, which we were ready to really hit the bricks with next month, we had to put on hold. You know, we're not gonna spend money to do printed materials and that sort of thing, showing the building.
How much were you planning on raising?
We were looking for $500,000.
So you're planning on raising 500,000.
Yeah,
We've got, what in the bank, 426?
that would get us about, if we got 500,000, would get us $1.1 million, $1.2 million.
Okay. And refresh my memory, the original design cost was $1.9 million?
What, for the one on Dearborn property?
Right.
No, about $2.6 million.
Well, it was 2.4, I think it's up to about 2.6.
Yeah, it'll be a cent,
Yeah.
yeah, with inflation, because, you know, the longer we wait, the more it costs.
It's 3% a year.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sorry.
well, no, so, you know, obviously we have some concerns as to the distance from the road. There's gonna have to be some wetlands mitigation to put parking in behind the existing building, because we lose all of our front parking with something like this, but, yeah, are those deal breakers? Not necessarily. But the key is that until we have something to look at besides an earnestly constructed cardboard model and a set of trust plans, I don't know where we're gonna be able to answer the question. And the longer we wait, the more it puts us behind in potential fundraising, because,
So how long does SMP think it would take to get to that?
to do what we want to do here, they could probably do that in less than a month, I imagine.
To do an initial sketch.
Yes, to do a couple,
Just
three.
to show us, do you like this at all, sketch?
Would it be possible to, in your minds, to get consensus by July? So you could go forward with your fundraising?
Consensus on our part?
Yeah.
I imagine so,
End of July.
yeah. Well, they did it in June,
If you did it in June, we could
we should have it in July.
I'm sorry, you're not directing.
No.
We're all friends.
I'm reading out of the 2015 library, just so we understand what's going on here. The cost estimate for the proposed library, the Dearborn property, is $2.391 million. That was as of December 12th, 2014. As of that date, there was, I'll round this off, $592,000 in funds available for this project that will not have to be raised by taxes. Two things off the top of my head. You figure 3% a year for cost increases. Each of the years, trustees have said, not only have we put money aside, the trustees have been able to get about $26,000 interest each year. They can get interest, we can't. The next thing is, across the street is a turnkey facility. Everything from buildings to parking lots to yellow lines, furniture, fixtures, equipment, that's what that figure is.
Right.
The next question, the question I have in my mind is, how much will it take to get to town meeting and have two proposals that have substantially co-equal time and energy in them? You know, you don't go and buy a car and you compare a car to a four-wheel drive, a pickup truck, 3/4 ton with a snowplow. You try to compare. And I'm thinking that this project, I'll say Project B, you're going to talk about the envelope, the structure, framework, energy efficiency, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, heating, fire protection. There's more engineering, finishes, security, septic, well, parking lots, landscaping, sidewalks, site work. And we aren't even talking, some of the things you'd like to have, like this. My question is, in ballpark figures, what will it take to get this plan so it's kind of co-equal with the other plan? Do you understand my question?
Of course, we understand the question.
That's the question I have in my mind. And I, for example, preliminarily, have no problem putting two co-equal plans before the town meeting and let them vote.
I think this,
I tossed that out, so,
I think
okay, go ahead.
$16,000 does not get you to the same level, because if you remember, we spent extra money for extra engineering so we could get a better cost estimate. I think with the 16,000, you get a number plus or minus 20%, and this other number was probably plus or minus 5%.
Off the top of my head, to get kind of in the same ballpark, it's gonna take between $40,000 and $50,000.
It might actually be more.
Yeah.
Because an engineering study would be quite expensive, I believe.
And I,
Just one quick question. The 16 doesn't include engineering?
No.
Okay.
That gets you to a point where it can be cost estimated.
Okay.
That's what it gets you.
you know, there is an element, you mentioned politics, there is an element out there. We just finished a Lang Pond Road project that came in under the $160,000 warrant article. Came in at 147. 17 years ago, it was a $485,000 bridge project, and the town meeting okayed a $50,000 engineering study. And you know what? Even though I sing the praises of Ben Ladd and that committee and what they did for this town, there's three people, wow, we already wasted $50,000. So, and you talk to politics, we're gonna hear that no matter what.
We understand that.
If we spend this money, some money's gotta be wasted.
Well,
I look at it as invested, and it gives the people an opportunity to make a choice.
hopefully a good engineering saves you money. 'Cause
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Building doesn't fall down.
If I recall, excuse me for a minute, Bill, if I recall, when we were building the new fire station, and there was the argument over whether we had fire and police together or whatever it was, there was a meeting in either July or August that people, the entire town was invited to discuss what people really wanted to do. And there was a survey done, and there was an open discussion of all the people in the town that they were all invited to come, and there was a straw poll taken. So we've already got, for the 3 votes, 60% of the town wanting to move forward with the library's trustees plan that was proposed. We need 67%. I mean, we're not looking for hundreds of, people to come in to town meeting and vote yes on this proposal. So I guess my question is, can we do some type of a meeting quickly that people could come in and see Skip's presentation and hear the discussion, so that when, if it comes to the point that the town meeting, they would bring forward a petitioned warrant article, that we at least have had discussions that we can fall back on. I mean, I don't know how else we're gonna solve this problem, because to me, it's a serious problem. And I don't know how we're gonna solve it.
Don't you think it would be
Without-
prudent, Marianne, to get S&P to present a couple of plans and have that at a public meeting?
I think we're gonna have to, because otherwise,
Well,
It all pushes your,
You have the carrot hanging out there today of
Right.
a
possible,
low-cost
right.
alternative that provides all the space needs. And until you have some design work done and to a level where you can get some budget costing, you can neither support or refute that number
exactly.
right.
objectively. So,
And I don't think bringing 2 sets of plans to the town meeting is gonna help.
no,
I think you need to
you
solve that.
you bring a project.
And I'm not certain that if you're pushing, just my feeling, if you go through the engineering study and you get your cost estimates, and now we want to have some public hearings on this or public meetings on this, and get some buy-in from the public on this project, as opposed to the one you've already got designed, I don't think you're gonna be ready to go to town meeting, because you now have to ramp your fundraising up on this design as opposed to the other one, change that all over. And it may not be a bad thing to skip a year, because I don't think we should plan on skipping a year of warrant article money for the library. It doesn't have to be $1 million, but continue funding the project forward, but have some sort of resolution as to which direction it's going. And if the public says the previous plan is the plan we want, and you've got 60% of the vote in hand, if you could put $500,000 worth of fundraising together, I think you really have,
Well,
you've got something to work with.
there was good support for the last plan that came up. There was good support for the plan before that came up. There was good support for the plan that came up a number of years before. Not to the level of 2/3, but, so, to me, what that's saying is that there is broad support in town for more library space. And as we keep bringing these different plans and, in my opinion, improved plans forward, as the process gets refined, there's still support among the people that show up at town meeting. But the key is, anything we're gonna do, we're gonna have to borrow money to do. Unless we wait a long time and put a lot of money away in a capital reserve fund.
We'll be dead by then.
And, I'm sorry?
I'll be dead by then.
Well, and me too, probably. So if we want to do it in the fairly near term, we're going to have to borrow money. We're going to have to get the 2/3 threshold at town meeting. And whether a combination of enough private money and convincing people around the edges that among all the alternatives that are looked at, the one that's presented provides the best value. Whether that'll get us over the threshold or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the discussion has to be that we're looking for the best design for the town. I think we've got to get off the money. We could raise taxes by $1.50 a thousand for 1 year and pay for the library. So it's not a matter of not having the ability to do it. It's the idea that we want to do the best thing that we can for the town. And I think if we had $500,000 in our pockets from private funding, plus the money that's already been put aside, we're not looking at big debt service here if we end up borrowing money.
We basically have, as a political science major, basically have 4 options as a community. Number 1, do nothing. Number 2, push harder for the plan that's already in place. Number 3 is do justice for this project that a citizen has come forward with and people are talking about. There's a 4th option, and I won't use his name, but he told me, if the library could the town pay for the first 6,000 square feet, anything more than they want, the library goes and raises the money. So those basically are the 4 options. I will take a step back. I'm glad that there is a citizen coming forward who was involved in talking about this. It saves you having to go out and talk about it, and you folks go out and talk about it. My question is, how much will it cost reasonably in fees to get it where you can examine the comparison?
We know where it's starting. It's starting at 16.5. So I think what we have to do is
No, it's not starting at 16.5. It's starting at probably closer to 6 or 7, which is to do the first 3 points.
But okay, I'm just wondering.
No, I'm
wondering
just-
if it would be easier for us to just make one decision as opposed to making multiple decisions.
It would be easier for you, yes, it would be.
When it comes to funding, Does this come out of the money that the town has set aside capital
So that's
reserve?
one of the reasons we're here this morning.
Or could it be a combination of money that you've received and what money Tufton Bros put aside?
You know, there's plenty of money
It's all
that we put aside in warrant articles. There's gonna have to be some design money spent. You can't build a building without a design. And that's, I see dipping into their money as being just nickel and dime in the deal. And if we're gonna be in the deal, we might as well be in the deal.
I agree with that comment.
Where are you at, Bill?
Yeah, this is money that the town has been putting aside toward this project.
Right.
And
And it legally can be spent on this project.
Yes, okay.
We've already solved that issue.
Just the library.
Yep.
Well, I'll make a motion that we allocate, what's the number? I thought it was 16,000, but no, it's more than that.
No, that's the,
That's just their compensation.
yes.
Okay, yeah, $16,450 for SMP to do an engineering conceptual for a library in the current library space. And then we'll come back to the public presentations in the building.
I'll second that motion. But discussion, is that figure appropriate?
That's where we have to start.
You know, we don't have, you know, it's a strange marriage that we have with the library, and that we don't really have a lot of say in who's hired. So they've made that decision.
On the other hand, they've always been cooperative with us, so you are
So far,
right,
yeah.
yes, they have.
If we were living in a vacuum, we wouldn't be here this morning.
No, it's a good balance that we control some of the money and you guys control the decision making, but.
Well, we have absolutely a ton of confidence in SMP. They know what they're doing. And once again,
I've seen some of their other projects and I'm impressed.
well, the fact that they already know what our needs are, that's.
Yes, there's continuity. Yep.
I'd encourage you to put other things out to bid, because there are some other people that do good work out there in the world for construction management, that sort of thing. At any rate,
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Everyone's clear on what it is? I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
and you think you can get back to us in end of June, 1st of July?
I'm gonna be, on the phone, well, that's my prerogative. No, we'll be talking about today.
Very good. Thanks.
We'll get a timeline and I'll let you know. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a safe day.
That's it?
Where is that, you're allocating it from what?
From the library
the
warrant.
capital reserve
You're
fund.
taking capital reserve money?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Do we need a motion to adjourn? Or is there any other legal business to come before?
Do we have public input? Do we need it?
No. It's a work session.
You'll put it all in the paper, so it won't matter.
Right.
Well, can I ask some questions?
Sure.
I just want to be clear because you all were trying to, look at it from different angles. So you're allocating 16,450 from the capital reserve, which you were authorized to spend. And what you're going to get is a conceptual design.
Right.
Okay. And that's a beginning point. You're hoping to get it by July 1.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And then you're going to follow up on Mary Ann Murray's suggestion. Is that what you were saying? Have a meeting for the public
I
just
think
to hash that out?
once they get their conceptual design done and a rough costing, it will establish the numbers that they're comparing between.
By July 1, that would be a rough costing because that design provides the opportunity to get estimates. Okay.
So now they can have a discussion of whether or not that's the building they want to build, and we can all have a discussion
Right.
of whether or not to go forward with that project as opposed to the other one. And we have to land on one or the other,
Yes.
but we have to do diligence on this one in order to.
So
make a
is it the
decision.
board's position that it would be best to have a decision for one plan to be on the warrant article?
That's what
Well,
contemplated.
as I stated before, I would not support putting competing proposals on the warrant. That makes no sense at all.
You're never gonna get 66% if you do it that way.
So you agreed on one
You-
plan?
And
that's what you want.
You can't put an either or on a warrant, okay? So it's not, you're not going to town meeting saying, we're giving you two choices, pick one. Typically, I think what happens then is you pick none. And everything gets pushed away. And as Chip indicated earlier, part of what helps voters is to see a commitment on the part of this board, and in the case of the library project, the library board toward a specific project. And I think this is, what we're doing today is the only thing that we can do in good conscience in moving toward a project. An idea's been put forth. In order to fairly evaluate it, we have to be able to cost it. And I think Skip, in what he's presented, has worked with information that he believes is accurate. There may be things that were missed in his thought process. But you have to get to a level where you can say, this is what this project is going to cost, this is what this project is going to cost, and then you can fairly evaluate between the two. And there are intangibles involved as well. But until you can put a dollar number with some substantiation out there, it's,
Yeah,
you can't, I mean, everybody always would be happy to embrace something that meets your needs that costs next to nothing. And I'm not suggesting that that's what Skip put out there, but there are elements that may not have been embraced as he went through his process that need to at least be looked at.
So there are two questions that remain. Well, one, Skip predicated his presentation on the idea that you wouldn't need a 2/3 vote. And you're saying, no, it looks like most likely you would have to borrow money and have to have a 2/3 vote.
Yeah,
I mean, that was his thing, and he said, you can start now.
that was part of his presentation.
So that's how he presented, look at this.
I know, but I think more important part is what the library trustees are handling right now, which is comparing design to design, cost to cost.
They're trying to
As
be
far as the
fair.
funding process is concerned, I certainly wouldn't support that notion that we're gonna do it piecemeal with warrant articles so we can avoid a 66% vote. I think it's much more viable if we get a consensus on a design and a solid front and present it. I mean, we're not that far away from, and argue about private versus public funding. I mean, once the design is set and everybody's secure with that, then we can talk about private or public funding if they want to raise 750 versus 500,000. And to be honest with you, I don't see it going on the warrant next year. Maybe other people do. But Skip wanted to break ground in September, which I think is pretty optimistic. But they haven't gotten to the position where they have consensus on their board about what they want to build. So until that happens, we can't get involved. And until we get involved and they're involved and we all agree, we can't get the town involved. So there's a lot more stuff that's got to go down before.
They didn't answer, you were talking about them raising $500,000. which I wasn't clear on whether they can go forward with that with this hanging. So I don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, I think
Well, it seemed to me that they feel they have to
they have to
to
settle
wait
it.
until
Just
they're
wait.
settled on a design that they're
Right.
supporting. That
So everything
the way they're
sort of
putting their
waits until
fundraising,
July 1st.
I understand where they're coming from. I don't
Campaign
think I'd
together.
come to you, no matter what organization I am, ask for some money, but I'm not quite sure how we're gonna spend it.
Well-
I don't know if I,
it really depends upon the approach you take, all right? If you establish the need and you put together a campaign in a particular manner, I think you can raise pledge commitments even if your final design isn't settled on. And again, pledges in a campaign allow you to move the project forward.
I just think it's hard to look somebody in the eye and say, give me money, unless I'm fully committed.
Well,
I mean, I'm
Well,
on
they
the
have
board
to
of a
make a
couple of
decision as a
nonprofits,
board.
it's-
They have to make a decision.
Yeah, they need to
as a
be
board.
committed to
Right.
one direction or the other.
So you're gonna get more information, they're gonna spend the money and see what the next step is.
Yeah, I think there's, and I don't want to sound cavalier about it, but that's pretty short money to figure out whether or not you could actually save $900,000. I mean, that's not a lot of money to spend to explore this part of the design. I mean, if you were in the private sector, you'd probably do the same
It
thing.
is interesting what it costs to get 20 more votes. We're talking about 20 votes to get that threshold. I mean, it's a hard,
well, the 67% is meant to be high.
it sure is.
But I don't think it, and I've just been a passive observer, single vote at town meetings. I don't think it's been very well sold. I mean, in order to do these projects, you really got to sell them. People have to be invested in it, but they have to believe that at least somebody out there really wants to get this done and done
Well, I think
right.
they were ready to do that. And Carl is in charge of the fundraising. They were ready to do that, but
Yeah.
this won't.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you for using the capital reserve money to go forward with this. It did represent a little of a step back for those of us that were on board going forward with the plan, and I also am on the campaign committee, the fundraising committee, and we were well along and had a number of pledges, but it was going forward with this plan. And we had our brochures all drawn up, ready to go to the printers, videos set to be made. We were ready to hit the pavement the 1st of June, and so we can't do that, I don't think, in good conscience without something in front of us being able to go forward. But thank you for taking the money. It is something from a political standpoint that we need to do.
So we had 60% of the voters. I mean, I think the discussion, not to go too far afield, but I think the discussion of whether or not we're gonna get a library doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, we voted for warrant articles giving money to build a new library for 3 or 4 years now. You had 60% of the voters vote to build a new library and borrow money for it. So you didn't quite make the threshold of 66%, but I think the question of whether or not there'll ever be a new library is off the table. I think
Yeah.
it appears
Well, and I
that it's moved
just-
too far along.
My main concern with this one is I think these are the 2005 plans for the addition that was planned for the current library. This didn't fly either, so we've already looked at an addition at the current building. And I think to stick with something, it's been thoroughly researched. It just makes a lot of sense, but we need to do what we need to do if a citizen has come forward. He's come forward with other ideas before.
The central fire station took 54 years. Originally in 1962, it was going to be a public safety building with car bylaws.
I'm gonna be dead by then.
I'm moving on from the library. Karen, any other legal business that needs to come before the board?
Just the Lake Road boat ramp to have the bids opened at 4 on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And we can discuss that next Monday. Okay?
Well, I'll need to post it.
Oh, well, yeah, so maybe you want to set the meeting now so she can post it for Monday afternoon.
Okay. Any objection that the selectmen meet at 4 o'clock on Monday, the
22nd.
22nd, for the express purposes of opening the bids as advertised?
That's what I need. That
So
sounds great.
moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.